Part of the ways that we help our spine feel more flexible is to help the area remind itself that it has all of this delicious ways to move. And sometimes we forget that because we kind of go in our little ways and we sit and we stand and we keep a lot of our spine more rigid. And so using different things like a wall or a floor to help our bodies remind them of this feedback, of reminding them how to awaken, how to enliven. The fancy word for that is called proprioceptors. And those proprioceptors at the joint tell us where we are in space and allow us this ability to kind of feel comfortable to move around and find that fluidity and ease. If you've ever heard the term use it or lose it, that's a little bit what we're talking about here, is how do we keep reminding our spines of the possibilities that they have for movement? So one of those ways that we have is to use something like a harder surface like a wall to help give the spine and the muscles and the joints around it the feedback that it needs to remind it can move in many ways. So I'm going to use this wall here. And you might want to start by stepping just a foot or so away from the wall so your feet are comfortable, maybe right under your pelvis. And then as best as you can, you want to feel your lower back kind of press up against the wall, and really as much as your spine as you can, maybe not your neck, but everything else kind of pressing up against the wall, as if you're kind of flattening out that lower curve. And then with that stability of your lower abdominals hugging in a bit, we're going to slowly drop the chin to the chest. And the idea is to feel the vertebra peel off the wall one at a time. So sometimes when we have a little stickiness or stiffness in our spine, those 3 or 4 vertebrae want to come off the wall at one time. And this exercise is trying to help us push each vertebra into the wall and then one at a time peel it away. So it's a practice. So let's see how we start and feeling the weight of the head, and the rest of the vertebrae are going to keep pushing into the wall, and then slowly begin to peel the spine down off of the wall one by one until you find your arms kind of dangling maybe in front of your thighs or in front of your knees, and your lower back or your pelvis is still on the wall. And then from there, begin to slowly roll back up. Same idea here, peeling the vertebra one by one back up on the wall. And you could do that a few times. Again, slower is better so that you really feel, can one vertebra separate from the other as you're coming down? And then can one vertebra stack on top of the other as you come back up? So maybe you do that 3 or 4 times and then gently push yourself away from the wall, kind of give your pelvis and your spine a little shake about, a little movement to relate all of those bones to each other. And then notice how you might walk around. And notice if you have a little bit more space in between those vertebrae or you feel a little bit more upright. Now, if you have some scoliosis or you may notice those curves in your spine, or maybe notice part of your back is touching the wall more than others, that's okay. Keep working with it, keep moving the spine. What's important is that you have that mobility and we're not stuck in one curve or one pattern more than another. Now, the next part, we're going to move to the floor, and I'll show you step 2. So the second exercise in this 3-part series of helping our spines create more spaciousness, more flexibility, more ease, is taking the same idea that we did at the wall and bringing it now to the floor. And this is just changing our relationship with gravity, but the same principles apply in terms of hoping that the spine can elongate a little bit and find those articulations between each vertebra to literally create more space and remind the spine then of its possibilities to move in all different directions. I'm going to give you 2 options here. The first is a little less challenging, and the second a little more challenging. So join me here on the floor. Hopefully you have a carpet or a mat or something to help a little bit cushion your spine. So in this position, we're going to start with our feet, our knees, and our hips all in line. You can bring your feet in just a little bit closer to your pelvis, and you want to start with a little bit of space underneath your lower back, so you have that neutral, what's called a neutral pelvis. And then from here, we're going to slowly draw the navel towards the spine and begin to peel the pelvis up towards the ceiling. Now take your time here and really feel like you can pull one vertebra and then the next slowly off of the floor while pushing the other vertebra into the floor until you can come as high as it feels comfortable. Then once you reach wherever your top place is, relax the throat, relax the softness of the chest. Notice if you can simply melt those vertebrae one at a time down to the floor, all the way out through the pelvis and come back to neutral. So we'll do that one more time. As you roll up, gently tuck the tailbone under, tuck the pelvis a little bit, and peel those vertebrae off of the mat, off of the floor one at a time, lifting your hips all the way up. And then as you lower down, feel like you're reaching your knees away from you, your hips away from you, so that the vertebra come down one at a time, slowly lowering, melting into the mat and releasing at the end. Now you could keep that version, or I'm going to shimmy just a little bit closer to the wall and bring my feet up on the wall. So this version is a little bit more challenging. Again, we're working lots of muscles here, but our focus is really on, can we open the space between each vertebra in the spine, giving it the feedback from the floor that it needs to be able to feel that spaciousness. Same idea, gently push the feet into the wall, slowly tuck the tail under, gently push into your hands if you want a little more stability, and roll those hips all the way up as high as it feels comfortable. And then I'm going to start really from the top of my spine, which is right in between my ears, seeing if I can relax the top of the spine first, but keep the rest of the spine lifted up. And then the next vertebra, slowly in my neck and my upper back, gently rolling down, letting my spine feel heavy and melting into the mat. One vertebra at a time, and slowly release at the end. So you might do that 2 or 3 times, gently finding that articulation up and down and feeling the feedback of the floor to give you that extra proprioceptive feedback for your spine to feel a little bit more articulation. So after you've done those exercises, maybe you do them 2, 3, 10 times, whatever it feels good to you. Then I might try standing up, walking around, and see if you notice a little bit more spaciousness in your spine, maybe a little bit more freedom of movement. This third step gets a little more challenging. I'll show it to you now. So the last exercise in this 3-part exercise series that we're doing is very challenging. I would not recommend it if you feel like you have any back strain or pain. This is one to build up by starting with the exercise on the wall and then seeing if you're okay on the floor, and then eventually coming up to this exercise. This places a lot of feedback into your spine to be able to, again, help it find itself, to feel that spaciousness. This one is called rolling like a ball, but we're going to modify it a little bit. It's actually from Pilates, and you could use it as a deep core strengthening exercise, but we're going to do it for fun. So it doesn't matter where your hands are, what happens with your legs. You really just want to feel the movement of your spine as you roll on a carpeted surface. So you want to make sure that your back is supported, maybe get an extra mat or 2 if you need a little bit more. But I want a little harder surface because you don't want it too squishy, like this wouldn't work on a bed or something with a lot of give to it. You want a little bit more feedback, but enough to make you comfortable. to still stay comfortable. So from here, I'm gonna hold the outsides of my legs. If you wanted to hold kind of your knees or somewhere else on your lower legs, that's okay too. And simply roll back and then come forward. And if you fall forward, that's okay. If you wanna try to balance and work those deep core muscles also, you can do that as well. So here's what it looks like. And sound effects are optional. Whee! Getting that feedback on your spine. If you want to, you can kind of fling your legs back over your head, or you can keep those heels tucked in for even more of an abdominal exercise. So play with that. It should be fun, but it should also feel like, wow, my spine is really feeling that. And then again, get up, walk around, notice how you feel, notice if your spine has more aliveness in it, more little effervescence in it to allow it to move in different directions. I hope you enjoyed that little spinal mobility series. Thanks so much.